Should I introduce the next segment? Okay. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Rachel. Rachel is a beloved member of the community who I've been lucky to know for several years. And Rachel, I'm going to have you introduce yourself and talk about understanding gender. And the show is yours.
Hello, my name is Rachel Morales Warney, and I am a volunteer and member of Trans Family Santa Cruz. A strong base here in Santa Cruz County. I have a trans son who is actually part of GSA Network out of Oakland, who also has done previous conferences before he went off to college. And I took a little bit of a break when he went off to college, and now I'm back because things are the way they are right now, and all in. We all got to help out and do our best to create community.
So, Rachel,
yes.
Oh, I have to say, I remember your kiddo who was also on the planning committee for one of our student summit, and it was during some dark times back in the day. And I remember they came up with a theme that was very, resist, and so it's great to have you on board. So tell us when and where the Understanding Gender Conference is going to be taking place.
Yeah, Understanding Gender portion of the conference will also be at Watsonville High School. It will be in the library. It will be on September 27th from 9:30 to 2 p.m. And we will be having, I'd like to say, adjacent conversations. Well, it's important for the students to be able to come together and activate and resist in their own ways. It's also good that Understanding Gender allows parents and educators and guardians to come together and understand and ask questions. Because it's not our kids' responsibility to educate us. It's our responsibility. And even though Google is free, it's still good to sit in community to be able to get connections with other parents and educators and guardians and allies to be able to ask the questions that we can't always ask our kids, and that we can get strength together on how to better support the youth in our area on what they need.
That's beautiful. And I think you talked a little bit about why this is important for you. Why do you think this is important for the greater community? And let's say someone is listening and they don't have a child who is trans or gender non-binary. Why would they benefit from coming to something like Understanding Gender?
I think it's beneficial because it is something that a lot of people don't necessarily want to, they're curious, they want to know about it, but are a little bit afraid to step out of the comfort zone. But this is definitely a safe space for someone to come in and ask the questions why, especially not why, but questions of gender or the intersections of identity and what those mean. I'm of a middle-aged as well, and sometimes a term will come across me and I'll be like, what is that? And right now my kids are in their 20s, so I can go, what does this mean? I don't know what it is. But I also have a safe space going into Understanding Gender or trans families where we can all talk about, it's like, okay, here's the terminology you need to know. And it humanizes it. If you see it and you can interact with it, you can normalize it. So I think it's important that if you don't have a trans child or necessarily knowingly have anyone who's trans or queer in your life, and I say that because sometimes you just don't know, it's good to be able to go and have these conversations with other adults to understand. So when you find yourself in those situations, you won't panic or freeze or be awkward to a point where it kind of adds on to even more awkwardness, and then you never want to talk about it again. So it gives the space to be able to do that and have those conversations. And it also gives everybody else at the conference, all of the students, to be able to not be responsible to educating you and give you resource. It's important mostly to me because I myself went for the very first time not knowing my son had just come out. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't have the tools that I have now. So it helped me be able to use pronouns easily, to understand how to do simple things like correct it without stopping a conversation, or be able to educate even my parents. I'm Latina, so in my community, my parents are in their 80s. I then have the tools to be able to communicate with my parents what it now means to have my trans son at the time. And now I have a trans nibbling as well, my brother's child. So it's just an amazing resource and important. And when you feel as a parent or an educator or a guardian like you just don't know, it's good to be around other people who either at one time didn't know and now have these resources to you, or have other parents, educators, and guardians come together and go, oh, okay, I've been there. This is what worked for me. This is my journey and it's helpful. I always remember the most helpful people that I met when I came to the Understanding Gender conference for the first time, that helped me be able to take all the other steps and become an ally and activist in our community.
I love everything you said, and we're just so grateful that you're here on Closet Free Radio talking about the Understanding Gender conference that's going to be happening. You mentioned trans families, and that is a very important organization here in Santa Cruz County and in the Bay Area. Can you talk just briefly about trans families and just mention a little about them, because I think it's an important resource to get the word out about who they are.
Trans Families, we are a group that offers support to parents or grandparents of trans individuals, so you can sit there in your naked honesty and have the hard conversations you have as parents, and not have judgment, just to be able to go, this is what's going on with me. And it opens doors in the community. It also offers resources for your trans children or your trans family members to be able to get more information, or even medical contacts, whose child's gone where, what's your experience with this, that, or other things that are trans related. So it's just a giant resource pool for trans families to be able to have a certain sense of security. And I have to say, as a member of it, other people who know you're a member of it, because I'm not good at not letting people know that I'm out there doing stuff. You run into someone at Costco and they're like, oh, I got a question for you. So even someone who's not going into trans families knows you're part of trans families. And if they have a question, or even getting the invitation to join it because they find themselves needing the resource as well. So it's just an amazing, in Santa Cruz County and beyond in Silicon Valley, resource for other parents or grandparents or family members to be able to find their way.
Very nicely said. Thank you. So tell us what's going to happen at the Understanding Gender conference.
So at the conference, I'm really excited. We have a few different sessions. We have Zach Keith from the Diversity Center, who's going to go over Gender 101 and Labels Don't Define Me, which is great because a lot of people go, you're gender non-binary, what does that mean? We're of a certain age, we don't always know. Or, in the 80s, being queer wasn't even allowed then. And, we reclaimed the word. So it kind of brings you in the fluid of language to understand what that means. And we're also going to have Delphine Bautista, who is at UCSC Cantu Center. And they are going to come speak to the intersections of identity. So what all the different identities mean within the umbrella, which is amazing, because if you don't know, you know now. And there's so much and so much to learn. And it's great to have the visual and the conversation around it. We are also going to be, the second set will be a discussion with local health professionals about trans and non-binary youth mental health, which is amazing, because I can't even tell you how helpful that was for my son. There were touch and go moments all through high school and middle school. So to be able to have those resources to know what to look out for or what's out there is a lifesaver as a parent, and even anybody within your loved circle, to be able to know that the resources and the mental health is there for your youth as well. Delphine and her talk is speaking in Spanish. So all of these things will have Spanish translation. So if you want to come or you want to bring someone who needs that bridge for Spanish translation, that does exist as well. And then after lunch, when you come back, we're going to have an amazingly strong GSA and Safe Schools Youth panel. And that's where you can sit down in earnest and ask the questions that you might have for another student. Like, what does good look like? What is showing up? How do I show up better? So to get a youth perspective on what your child might need without asking, are you okay? Are you okay? You can sit there and go, what is my best path, to help my child do something? And they give their perspective on everything from bathrooms, and believe always bathrooms, and what it looks like in school, like what a good school administrator looks like, what a good class looks like, what a good teacher looks like. And I think that's always been one of my favorites. I love hearing from the GSA panels and Safe Schools because it gives you the insight where they're telling you, you don't have to guess. This is what we need. This is what good looks like. And please ask a question. And it's always, I encourage it. Please, if you're even slightly thinking about it, it's an amazing thing. And you can register at safeschoolsproject.org for the conference.
Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Rachel?
I'm just going to say this was amazing. And this was the jump off point for me to have, not that I didn't already have a good relationship with my son, but to have an even better understanding and commitment to each other to help everything better in our lives, to be able to manage through. And in these tough times, even though he's at college, I still get the call of, hey, Mom, what's going on here? And I can give the recommendations on, building community with people who don't have as much knowledge as he has. So it ripples out exponentially over the years. And I can't even remember how many years I've been doing this, at least 7. I don't know. Stuart, do you have a good idea how long I've been doing this?
I do not, but I think you're right. I want to add something, Cheryl, Rachel, if I may. There's an organization that used to exist in the Bay Area, Gender Spectrum, and we tried sending queer and trans kids to that conference. And at the time, they told me, well, okay, that's nice. That'll make you feel good. But what are we doing sending the kids back to a home that doesn't have the same education that that new kid does? And so what I learned from that, and the reason why I think understanding gender is just such an important part of the Rainbow Conference, is that we definitely want the students to come to the Student Summit, but we want them to go home to a loving environment that will ask them questions. What did you learn? Tell me more. And I like what you said, Rachel. This was your jumping in point. It offers an opportunity for parents to learn more about how they could be supportive to their neighbors' kids, to their own nephews and nieces, and even their own kids. So beautifully said, Rachel. Thank you so much. And anything else you'd like to add in close? I mean, you already said your closing, but I want to have you have the last word.
Last word, I hope to see you all there, and feel free to come up and say hi when you sign up and show up.
Great. Thank you so much. And so now our next segment is a very powerful segment